La Llorona terror in the Amityville horror house. The Amityville horror house had seen its share of terror, but none quite like this. When the whispers of La Llorona's presence began circulating among the locals, even the most daring ghost hunters hesitated. But Alex, Maria, and Jake, three paranormal investigators, dismissed the warnings as superstition. Armed with equipment and courage, they decided to spend the night in the infamous house to investigate the claims. As they stepped inside, the air was cold and heavy, carrying the faint scent of damp earth. The warped floorboards creaked beneath their feet as they moved into the dimly lit living room. Maria, holding a voice recorder, began asking questions into the void. "Is anyone here with us?" she asked softly. The silence was broken only by the sound of dripping water, though there were no pipes left in the decaying house. Alex shivered. "It's just the wind," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Jake set up his infrared camera in the corner, aiming it toward the staircase. "Let's check the basement," he suggested. Reluctantly, the group descended into the dark, musty basement. The air grew colder, and the dripping sound grew louder. In the flickering light of their flashlights, they noticed water pooling in the corners, despite the absence of any visible source. Suddenly, Maria gasped and pointed. In the damp, dirt-covered walls, faint scratch marks were visible. They appeared to form words in Spanish. "Donde están mis hijos?" "Where are my children?" Maria translated, her voice trembling. Before anyone could respond, a chilling wail echoed through the basement. It was a woman's voice, filled with grief and anger. The sound grew louder, making their ears ring. Then came the faint sound of splashing footsteps approaching. Panic set in as the three scrambled back upstairs, slamming the basement door shut behind them. But the house was no longer silent. The mournful cries of La Llorona reverberated through the walls, growing closer with each passing moment. Alex turned to Maria. "This isn't like anything we've encountered before. We need to leave." But as they reached the front door, it wouldn't budge. Jake tried the windows, but they were sealed tight. The house seemed alive, trapping them inside. From the corner of her eye, Maria saw a figure standing at the top of the staircase. A woman in a tattered white dress, her long, wet hair hanging over her face, stared down at them. Water dripped from her dress, forming a dark pool at her feet. "La Llorona," Maria whispered. The ghostly figure raised her arms, her face still obscured, and let out an ear-piercing scream. The lights flickered and the walls began to shake. The group scattered in terror. Jake ran toward the kitchen, but the sound of splashing water followed him. Alex tried hiding in a closet, only to find it filling rapidly with icy water. Maria stood frozen, unable to move as La Llorona descended the stairs, her cries growing louder and more anguished. "Donde están mis hijos?" the spirit wailed again, her voice echoing in Maria's mind. Moments later, the house fell silent. The next morning, the authorities found their equipment scattered across the house. The footage captured showed glimpses of La Llorona's face, sunken eyes and a mouth twisted in eternal grief, before the camera feed cut to static. No trace of Alex, Maria, or Jake was ever found. The Amityville Horror House remained a beacon for the supernatural, and the legend of La Llorona's terror only grew, her cries forever haunting